You're listening to the GraceCity Music Podcast from GraceCity Church in Lakeland, Florida. This podcast is intended to keep our community up to date with all that's happening in and through the ministry of GraceCity Music. To stay informed about releases and updates, follow us on Instagram at GraceCity Music.
Welcome to the GraceCity Music Podcast, Season 2, Episode 2. Today is a very special episode, and I'm going to be telling you why, but not quite yet. You might understand while I interview the guests that are here on this episode. But today is going to be really, really fun. Wherever you're listening, I hope you're having a wonderful day. But today here, we are having a wonderful day. We are in the GraceCity Music Studio.
Come on.
Absolutely. And I'm joined with some amazing men. One is Cameron Hayes. Cameron, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Cameron is a keys player on our team, synth guy, also just great studio musician. You do mixing for people in town. You teach music at school for high schoolers.
Yep.
And you also have this viral podcast called Florida Men on Florida Man.
Yeah. That's putting it very...
And I'll get into it a little bit. You and Wayne do it together.
Right.
With this amazing guy named Josh, who's a goofball.
Incredible.
I don't know if the podcast is like Christian safe. Is it Christian safe?
We're family friendly.
Yeah. We're family friendly. Okay, great. I'm talking about language.
Christian safe.
I mean, these guys are Christians.
Yeah.
You know, they're volunteers at GraceCity Church, but it is safe for the whole family?
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah,
Okay.
What a name on the podcast, too. Like,
Florida,
congrats to you guys for that name.
Florida Men on Florida Man. I want to tell me a little bit about the podcast. I'm very familiar with it because you guys have been on a journey. It's been fun watching you guys over the last couple of years. But maybe tell our listeners about it.
Cool. Yeah. So it's the three of us kind of get on every week and go through different Florida stuff. So, you know, me personally, I tell the Florida Man headlines. Like obviously everyone tunes in to hear my segment.
Right.
Yeah. And no, we'll do like the crazy Florida Man headlines that everybody knows out of Florida and expects out of Florida. And we get them so much. Like people send us in headlines like every day. And it's just fun to see the crazy stuff that happens in Florida. And then like we'll do another segment where Josh leads a segment that like tells our experiences of what's happening right now in our lives and like how we grew up in Florida and just like the unique things that happened to us. And then Wayne can talk about his segment.
Yeah, I think the best portion of the show is we cover just like Florida history. Just stuff that's happened throughout the years in Florida, from like its beginning to kind of present day. We cover people who have just done great things in the state. So yeah, it's Florida centric. I mean, through and through.
Here's the interesting part. It's had huge success and people are loving it. And you guys are like on in these podcast magazines on like top lists. What is the fascination with Florida? Is it that there's just so many people in Florida that love Florida and are listening, but you're getting, probably not, your listeners aren't probably just from the state. What's up with the fascination from Florida and the success of the podcast? You guys were sponsored by Martinelli's for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Apple juice.
Yeah, talk to me about the success.
I think most of it comes from, like you said, the fascination of Florida. A lot of it feels make-believe. So if you're born and raised here, like Ethan knows this, like there's just crazy things that happen. And we live next to dinosaurs, right? I mean, like, so we tell these stories and people from Cali or from the UK or from South America, they'll write in and they're like, surely that's not true. And it's like, no, it is. This is day-to-day life in Florida. And so I think there's part of it where it's so crazy, but also knowing that it's real, it just draws people's attention, you know?
Beautiful.
So
It's also, I mean, like you said, it's so densely populated, especially like South Florida. So many like headlines, especially like Florida Man headlines, come out of South Florida. I don't know what they're doing down there in South Florida, but my gosh,
it's a vibe, dude.
They just run out of stuff to.
Is it just
to do
humans?
Yeah.
There's just a lot
people.
of humans there.
Yeah, and also we have
living there, and humans do crazy things.
Yeah, and we also have the Sunshine State Law, which every arrest record is public record. And that's not, that doesn't happen in every state. So we have tons of headlines and arrest records because of that. And so like we get so many stories that, and I think now, like you said, like people out of state and like, they're like, they just expect it. Like what's Florida going to do? What'd they do this week? What are you guys doing there?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's just fun to see every week what's going on.
I love it. I didn't give Wayne McCarty a proper intro. This is one of my great friends and also just great volunteer on our team, Wayne McCarty, worship leader, songwriter, written songs for our team like Dawn of Your Kingdom, like Upper Room with You. He's got this new one on the live record that's unreleased. It's called Nothing Is Wasted, and the end of the chorus goes, wherever your grace is, nothing is wasted.
Right.
Wrote that?
Oh, it's just so good. And wherever your grace is, nothing is wasted. You doing okay, Wayne?
Doing fantastic, man. Honored to be here. It's honestly, when we get these invites, it's like it's highlighted on my calendar in green. Green means go. Go ahead and be excited about it.
Green means go.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Wow.
So looking forward to it. Just hanging out with friends and talking church stuff, talking Florida stuff.
Yep, and Wayne is a returner. So for those that have listened before, you might know Wayne. I got Ethan Falk with us. Hello,
What's up,
Ethan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Better now that I'm here hanging out with you guys.
Come on.
I'll tell
He
you
is
that.
a GCLI grad, GraceCity Leadership Institute graduate, and was like one of everyone's favorite interns when you were here. And really helped with ministries and with our youth ministry and Pastor Andrew's ministry. And you just, dude, you're a fan favorite.
Yeah, I've been around the first year of the interns. You go around, learn everything. Had a blast doing that the first year, and then got on with Andrew and Christina and Julie doing admin stuff the second year. So that was a big learning experience and loved it.
And then you just got married.
I did.
Wow.
Congrats to you.
Just got married in November 14th.
Woo!
Yeah, so I'm fresh married.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
You're having a
Fresh
blast.
married.
You're having a great time.
amazing time.
Come on, man.
Love it.
That's awesome, dude. You are also somewhat of a self-proclaimed Florida fanatic or Florida historian, is what you were just telling me before we went on air.
Yeah, I'm really interested in Florida stuff. I mean, a lot of the land, I sell land for my living. That's like what I do, like agricultural
You're
land,
a tycoon.
ranch land.
He's a
No,
tycoon.
I'm not a tycoon. I'm not a tycoon.
He's a roller coaster tycoon.
Wish I was a tycoon. But I'm really interested in Florida land. Like my favorite book is A Land Remembered.
Come
I don't know if
on.
you guys have read that.
Yeah.
I haven't.
book.
What is it?
It's just a book about this family that they kind of start out super poor, like way back in time, and this is before private property or anything. So they are a cattle family and end up just kind of developing Miami and making millions of dollars from nothing, like making really something out of nothing. It's a really cool story.
So it's a true story,
Yeah.
and it's like a biopic.
I mean, it might not actually not be true, honestly, but I think it's based on a family, and it might be fabricated and some things thrown in there. But
Great rec.
yeah, it's
Great recommendation.
Either way, it's a
It's
great
good.
read, right?
There you
good
go.
book.
Yeah.
Really good book.
Okay. Well, you might, if you're listening, watching, you might be putting one or two or three things together. The topic of today's episode is Freaky Florida.
Come on.
Freaky Florida.
Wow.
We wrote a book about it.
This is not my book. This is just actually a random book Paige got me for my birthday at Walgreens. I think they sell it.
Walgreens.
And it's full of crazy stories about Florida.
Yeah.
And listen, here's the ministry Christian lesson in this.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be serious all the time.
Yeah.
The GraceCity Music Podcast doesn't have to be serious. We could just talk about the great state and the strange things that happen in our state today. And I don't, I like the strange. And I think all of us have this propensity to talk about the strange and the strange things. I don't
can't avoid it.
Yeah.
You really can't.
And I don't believe in ghosts. I have several ghost proof texts from the Bible, like to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord.
Come on.
It's appointed once for a man to die and then judgment,
Right.
what the Bible says. And so there is not a ghost, but the Holy Ghost.
Come on.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
But that doesn't mean that other freaky, strange things haven't happened in the state of Florida. And that's what I want to talk about today. And I want to begin with Ethan Falk. And part of the reason why he's here is there was a bit of, something happened to him.
Yeah.
About 12 months ago, a little over 12 months ago.
Something like that. A little bit less.
And it actually became somewhat of an online controversy.
Nice.
yeah.
And you went to war with a dinosaur. You actually killed a gator.
I did. I thought you were going to say I went to war with the media.
TMZ.
And, yeah, which That's also true. But yeah, no, I got some gator tags this year. I'd never had gator hunted before, and I've always wanted to do it. So you go in with the state, and there's a website, and you kind of apply for tags, and they give them out. And it's like a lottery system. You might not get them, but if you do get them, you have to pay some money, and you can get to go kill 2 gators.
Conservation.
And you didn't just kill like
Hunt. I should say hunt.
you didn't just like
kill.
You didn't hunt just like a mid-sized gator. You killed this gator that I think was somewhat famous in our like little Lakeland community.
Yeah, possibly.
Talk to me about that.
Possibly. So there's this gator that I'm sure any listener has probably seen before, whether they know it or not, on like Fox News, CNN, like everywhere. Like this gator has been on news like nationwide, like multiple times. One time it had like a 6-foot gator in its mouth, just thrashing it and eating it on this trail. Okay. Another time it was just
Where
walking.
is this in town?
Circle B.
Okay,
Circle
yeah.
B, yeah. If you guys come to Lakeland and want to see a gator, go out to Circle
It's just
B.
like a wildlife preserve out
Yeah.
in our town.
Super safe too. Yeah.
Right.
Your family.
Yeah, the one time I went there, I saw like a pack of boars, like kind of charging, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Are these guys gonna hurt? They have tusks." I'm like, "Am I in danger?" Okay, so yeah, maybe Luke can show a little video of this massive, famous gator,
place.
and you killed him.
Well, I don't think it was him, to be honest. He looked pretty much exactly the same, about the same size, maybe bigger. I'm not really sure. But
How big was this gator?
this gator is 12 foot.
Can you
Come
show me
on.
a picture? Can you show me? Can you show me a
Of course.
photo?
So he was 12 foot, and
12 feet.
he weighed 620 pounds.
Jeez. Come on.
That's almost a ton.
There it is.
It's a dinosaur.
Oh my gosh.
And I had no idea. I was not prepared for
Did
this.
you set out to get this particular one,
No.
or you just said, "Give me the
No.
daddy gator. I want the biggest one you've got"?
I was happy with anything. This is my first time gator hunting.
And then you saw this behemoth.
I didn't even see it. So, so what happened was we had gone out. Me and my friend who had
Holy
the tags. We had
moly.
gone out.
Your friend has a mullet, by the way. Shout out to that guy, whatever his name is. He looks
shout out to
awesome.
him. He's got a sweet mullet. It's my best friend. But so we went out and we were like happy. You get 2 tags, so that means you get to harvest 2 gators.
Right.
So we were like gonna be happy with like a 6-7 foot like mid-size alligator, just because we really didn't know what we were doing. But we went out and we knew that like gators can smell like downwind way better. Like if there's something that smells like a dead animal or something, like upwind, they can smell it, and that's like your best bet. So the wind was blowing towards a certain side of the lake, so we figured our best shot was going and setting up where the wind was blowing into this swamp, which happened to be this Circle B place. That it's like a nature preserve. So, but we weren't on, just to clear the air so I don't get arrested here. We weren't on this preserve. We were like outside of it in legal hunting area. But this gator came from that place, smelled our bait. We didn't see him until we felt the gator on the line, and then things escalated
And
from there.
I want to talk about the escalation.
Okay.
You have to hunt gator with something called a boomstick. Is that correct?
A bang stick.
A
Yeah.
bang stick.
A bang stick,
And
yeah.
a bang stick is basically a stick with dynamite on the end of it.
Not necessarily dynamite.
This is Florida, though.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you like know about the bang stick. It's,
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting.
But it's
so
it's a shotgun.
it's a metal rod that you can put like a rifle round into, and it has it's like a how do I explain it? It's when it gets compacted onto something, there's a little pin that hits the whatever you call it on the bullet that fires it off. So it's basically like a gun that if you just like hit somebody with it, it fires off. So that's basically.
Remember earlier
it
when
is.
we said
It's
people
long.
don't believe stuff that comes out of Florida? This is
Right.
what we're talking about.
Right.
Can we go ahead
Absolutely.
and book you onto our show?
right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I had to go and buy one of those because obviously, if you don't hunt gators, there's no reason you should have one.
Well, walking stick. Right.
Right.
I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
could use it as a walking stick.
Right.
Yeah.
Self-defense walking stick.
So talk to me about when you approached the gator and the actual interaction.
So we had it on a line, and so you have to use a wooden peg. You're not allowed to use a treble hook like in some places you are with your bait. So this gator
I don't know
swallowed.
what that is, but sweet.
Anyways, this gator swallowed our bait, which was a beef lung, like an entire lung out of a cow that floats.
Nice.
And it had this wooden little peg inside the bait that I had to put in there, which wasn't fun because it smelled horrible. But they have a flap in the back of their throat that closes so that when that peg is in their throat and they've swallowed the bait, it's not coming out like unless you really yank on it. So we knew that he was on there, so we kind of started slowly approaching to where he was, and he had sunk, so we hadn't seen him. We didn't know if this was like a 4-foot alligator or like a giant. I thought it was a small one. So we get up there, and he was down, and I could see where the line was pointing into the water because I was kind of tight on the line, and slowly started to pull him up without putting too much tension on him, and he like slowly came. Didn't really know that he was hooked or caught or there's people around, and this is like probably 1 a.m. at this time. It's pitch black. He comes up to the surface, and like I remember making eye contact with this animal, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
It was your heart beating out of your chest.
My heart was already a little bit like just excited. Like I was like, "Okay, we got one on." And then when I saw him, it went into like fear mode. Like I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like we were in like a 14-foot like tiny little boat called a skiff, which is not ideal for something like that.
This guy's as big as your boat, basically.
Bigger.
Come on.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, was that boat 14 foot? I don't know. It felt bigger than the boat.
Yeah.
We could not get him in the boat. It's
And
like
you only had him because there was a Lincoln log stuck in his throat.
yes.
Wow.
Right.
So,
Like,
well,
that's
after
what's holding him there.
once we got him up, then you're allowed to snag them with a hook. So then we like had a hook on a rope and snagged
Oh my
him.
gosh.
And then we had to harpoon him. Like it took a solid hour and a half.
and
to
you
get
said
him.
to your friend with the mullet, "Get me the shotgun stick."
I think
When does that come into play?
He was the guy on the shotgun stick. I was the guy on the rod trying to pull his head close enough to where he could reach him. So it was very much a team effort. I could not have done it without him. So it was scary trying to get this thing close to the boat and like keep our toes.
The photos are shocking. I mean, when
They
you
are
were
shocking.
first posted the photos of him hanging, and when you guys got him in the car, he's just a massive beast.
This video, and I'll show you guys this video. It's ridiculous. I mean, they had to get him out of my truck. I took him to the processor to be cleaned and everything, and they had to get him out of my truck with a forklift, and it was just
That's wild.
like the suspension in my truck just like was rising.
And
as
what do
they're
you do
taking
with
him.
that much meat?
Well, I was never going to be able to eat that much meat, and I really didn't want to because the processor was like, this gator's probably 60 to 70 years
oh
old.
my gosh.
Wow.
And so when I heard that, I was like, there's no telling what this thing has been eating and like what kind of nasty stuff is in his meat. So I was
You
like,
don't eat old meat.
No, yeah.
Really?
So
Don't eat old meat.
I
yeah.
sold the meat to the processor, and we went from there. Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa.
Well, and then they sell it to like Outback Steakhouse. And like, yeah. So, and when the media
This is
people,
unbelievable.
when all these Facebook like Nazis were like just coming after my throat, like there's one lady who was just said some like really crazy stuff, and I was like, well, next time you go to Outback and you order the gator bites, like just remember, like you're probably eating this guy. Wow. So,
Wow.
And
Yeah.
the tag process is done for conservation purposes, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So like it's done to keep the population under control because otherwise they'll be walking in the highways. I mean,
So that's part
Right.
of the ethics behind
Right. It's all
a gator hunt. You're not
Sure.
just going out to
Right.
kill to kill. Like, we need to do this for the safety of the
yeah,
environment.
hundreds of years ago, the state would do it on their own, and then they found out it was easier to have citizens, do it.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they raised some money, and they have to be controlled somehow, or else a lot of dogs would be getting eaten. Kids, like they'd be in the roads all the time.
He's
car
saving
wrecks.
the children.
That's
So
exactly
thank
what I was
you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
No, but it would like cost a lot of money if the state were to have to do that on their own, and taxpayers would end up paying that instead of hunters.
So where is the carcass now? You had him done up.
So the amount for one of these things costs like $5 to $6, maybe $7,000.
Whoa.
To stuff it.
For like a full body
to present it, yeah.
mount. Yeah, and I am not in a place where I'm just like, oh yeah, $5,000 gator.
That's a little
And-
overpriced to me.
Isn't it? It kind of
It
is.
seems steep.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work,
You
though.
get a lot of hairspray and just get them stiff.
We could do
You know
this.
what I mean?
We could do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't gonna pay for it, nor do I. Even if I was gonna do it, I wouldn't even have a space big enough in my house to put this thing. So my boss, actually, who we just built a new building for our headquarters, he loves stuff like that, loves taxidermy. He's a big hunter. He's like, I'll pay for it if we can keep it here in the office. And I was like, deal. I just want to see him. I just want to see him in like his full body.
Yeah.
like, every once in a while, So.
Come on, bro. Incredible story. Incredible story.
You said that people recognized him. That was something that came up.
Well, so
someone on Facebook like, oh, that's Bruce. Like
I made a big mistake. So when I posted this on Facebook, I was so excited, didn't think about it. I thought it was hilarious.
Right.
Which I still kind of think it is. But,
Yeah.
So I posted the picture, like a screenshot of like the news image of like the reporter, and then there's like this gator, like from like
of the famous gator.
of the famous one.
Right.
And then like I also tagged from the location in the post. I tagged Circle B Reserve. So
So you were asking for it.
I was asking for it, and I didn't know I was asking for it.
Yeah.
And then people just blew it up. That post on Facebook got like 50,000 views and like
Wow.
a ton of shares, and people from all over the country were just like on me about it. So
And it was mostly negative.
I would say like 85% negative.
Wow.
Probably.
But it's something that needs to be done for Florida environment, right?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big supporter of it. I mean, people don't realize people like to just see them, and I understand that. It's cool to see them, even if you're not hunting them, you know? Yeah. So it's just people, there's a disconnect there between like just nature lovers and people that are hunters. But in retrospect, they're very similar, you know?
There's similar policies with pythons in South Florida.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Where, the state pays to have them hunted because otherwise they show up in your backyard and take your dog.
That one's invasive.
And
so
those aren't
they want
regulated.
all of them gone.
right.
Yeah, there's no bag limit on pythons
Yeah.
at all.
Incredible. Well, the topic is Freaky Florida today, guys. I just
Yeah.
want to talk about Florida stuff.
Yeah.
And man, from the Wonder House in Bartow to Bach Tower. I've been going to Bach Tower lately. The highest point in Florida. It looks like a Wizard of Oz movie. We go to Bach Tower and get balked and just have a great day there with our kids hanging out.
The Eye of Sauron.
What's been some of y'all, Florida men, some of your favorite, maybe most mysterious, strange, perhaps, recent stories from Florida?
That's good. Yeah, I think when you look at Florida history, there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't really have an explanation. But what's interesting is like the First Nation people, the people who were here before anybody else, everything, for them was very real and mystical. And so there are springs outside of DeLand where people can hear singing at nighttime. And some of the earlier indigenous folks in Florida, there was a great battle that happened there, and a chieftain wept for his daughter and his son-in-law who died in the battle. And so that was their explanation as to why you can hear people singing in the springs.
Whoa!
And that's still real stuff today. Like you can go down to DeLand and you can hear the singing in the springs. But I think it's always fascinating, whenever you look at oddities like that, and there's always a historic explanation. For example, Spook Hill in Lake Wales.
I drove by it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I drove by it the other day. And basically, if you don't know what Spook Hill is, it's a hill that you can put your car into neutral and it climbs up the hill. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Right.
it's supposed to seem like you're going up.
Well, and that's even that. It's kind of weird. It's this oddity, but there's a historic explanation. Same thing, where an ancient tribe of folks they used alligators for armor and protection, and there was one gator that they called the night demon. That would come into their village and just take people. And so this one chief was like, "I'm not having it anymore." And so just like Ethan, like he went out and like 1v1 this monster gator. And they both died in the battle, and they believe that power, that energy is what causes cars to go uphill over in...
I Googled it, Wayne, and it is an optical illusion.
That's what I heard.
That it's an
demon.
actual... Who's gone there and put it into neutral?
I have not, but
I've
Wait.
been there a long time ago.
You have.
Yeah, it's been. I don't think I was the one driving though. So I think I was like a passenger, but it is weird. It's a weird
I
feeling.
agree it's an optical illusion. I think the thing about it is, though, is I love that like it's so Florida to come up with the most wild explanation you can come up. You know what I'm saying? Like
the Florida armor on the Indian, the gator armor on the Indians. That's
Right.
crazy. Okay, one of our cameramen has been on it. And what happened? Be loud. When you went to Spook Hill, be loud.
Absolutely nothing.
Oh.
We pulled up, and because we had just watched a horror movie, we were like, Spook Hill, this is a real thing.
Let's
like,
go.
Let's get spooky.
Right.
And we went and we watched the minivan try to do it. So we were like, okay, let's watch the mom first. And then another car pulled up behind us because everybody just wanted to get spooky because we're in Florida. Let's get weird. And so then all three of the cars were like trying to figure it out together. When we realized there's not.
Huh. Well, I wonder where the optical illusion comes in.
Yeah, you have to like go to the bottom of the hill and like.
So you weren't on the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, you have to like put it into neutral and then like you roll, but it looks like.
Are there orange groves on the side?
It was exciting.
But it's exciting.
It used to
Because
be.
you have like the mindset of like, oh, this is gonna be spooky. So then you're just like, you spook yourself.
Right.
Right. That's the
It's
thing.
near Bach Tower. I drove by the other day on the
Yeah, that's
way
the thing
back
with
from Bach
most
Tower.
spooky things. You kind of have to just kind of believe it to receive it. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the vibe, the ghost tour in St. Augustine is going to be way cooler than it actually is. You
It's
know
also
what I
like
mean?
our very first episode that we did was on Robert the Doll in Key West. And
There's a
Robert the
doll?
Doll. Okay, Robert the Doll is
I
incredibly
don't mess
famous.
with dolls.
Incredibly famous. He kept, kind of showing up. People kept. I think the owner was putting it in the attic, and it would like show up looking out the window in the
Right.
bottom store.
Nope.
Well, anyways, the whole thing now
Nope.
is this doll is in like this museum, and people will write letters to it and things like this. But if you bad talk Robert the Doll.
Oh my gosh.
Careful. If you say anything bad about Robert the Doll, apparently he will like haunt you or bad things start happening. And so then people will write letters saying, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. And like there's like a case with this doll. It's like the creepiest looking doll ever. I think it's made out of cork.
It is. We came out strong with episode 1, man.
Like
Because
the letters are like surrounding it. It's just, yeah.
But I think that's
don't
part
like
of like
that.
the legends and the lore, you know, where it's just like, you know, deep down it's not real, but it's fun stories to tell, you know, because we have science now, right? So now you can look at like the Singing Springs or Unspooky Hill and go like, okay, well, I know why this is actually happening, but ancient peoples didn't. So for them, it was like, we got to have some kind of reason. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
which is always a vibe. It's kind of cool.
Is there a monster in the green swamp?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, we did episode 100. We camped out in the Green Swamp. And yeah, look, I don't think it's anything, you know, ooky spooky, you know. I don't think it's spiritual, but I think I think the daddy of the gator that Ethan got is out there because
Causing chaos.
it's pulled. There's been some news reports of like trucks that have been pulled out of the water that had like T-Rex style claws in the front and bumpers have pulled off and stuff like that. So
A lot of people going missing out there too.
I was out there the other day and I saw a giant alligator.
yeah.
And I was walking.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
You kept walking.
That's the thing, man. Is like people, you know, we get comfortable here when you're, you know, when you're born and raised, you don't really think much about it. But when you really, I mean, you fought with one. I mean, like they're primitive, ancient creatures.
They are,
still
yeah.
just roaming the area.
yeah, they're full on dinosaurs. Like, there's
100%.
no way that you can like explain it better. you
Right,
know?
and they just keep growing.
Well,
Yeah.
you also have people though that are like obsessed with handling like especially small ones because you know you can pretty relatively easily get a small alligator, and so we have stories where people have thrown alligators through Wendy's
Holy.
drive-through windows.
Holy.
And so personally, I don't think that the people working at Wendy's deserve that. An alligator flying through your drive-through window, but
Especially
we get
not Wendy's.
you get stories like that all the time.
It's a
where
Burger
like,
King vibe.
you walk out and they're in their pool. What are you gonna do if you walk out and there's an alligator in your pool?
Call Ethan.
Call Ethan. Exactly.
Absolutely.
But you know what? When we were at Southeastern, shout out,
yeah. That's good.
my freshman year, we brought a gator in from the lake behind Southeastern, and my RA Yogi, good guy.
Shout out to Yogi.
Yeah, he was so upset with me. He's like, my dude, he's like, you can't bring alligators and put them in the shower and Bower. You know what I mean? Like, that's against the rules. And I'm like, no one told me that.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
not
I
in the
mean? So,
handbook.
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a natural Florida guy instinct to be like, oh, let's try to take these ancient creatures home, or you know what I mean?
I
Like
guess when
it's-
you grow up around them, it's not nearly as like crazy that like, I mean, I guess somebody out there on the West Coast that has never seen one before, like when they see one, it's like, oh my gosh, that's an alligator. But like,
I mean, they'll still eat you.
Yeah,
we should probably
but-
clarify that.
but it's just not like a huge, unbelievable
Right.
thing.
Two things before we wrap this up. Two questions I want to know from the Florida experts here. One is, what is the swamp ape an actual thing? I want to know that. Is the swamp ape an actual? Do we have large apes that live in this climate? Answer this concisely for me, please.
The Everglades is the largest piece of uninhabited land
Right.
this side of the Mississippi. So it's easy to maybe believe that something is mysteriously out there that the average folks wouldn't be able to see. As a logical man, I don't think there is, but I will say this: the people who live close to the Everglades, whose families have been there for hundreds of years, they believe without a shadow of a doubt that the skunk ape is a real thing. He lives, amongst them. They've seen it. And let's be real, like if it is something, it's a some kind of giant ape. I don't know, but there are people whose full-time job is just to look for this thing. There's a skunk ape museum. Dave, I think is his name. I forget his last name. Sheely, yeah, runs it down in South Florida, and they're devoted on ATVs in boats all day, every day.
Whoa.
Hunting this bad boy.
All day, every day.
And that's the thing is, like, I think naturally I'm like, I mean, come on, like skunk ape. But then you talk to these people and like the passion that they have,
Right.
and like the love for just like trying to find this, mythical creature, and like,
Right.
And then the ones that have said they've seen it, which in Dave Shealy's case, he's one of them that would like bait them with lima beans. And so you might go down to the Everglades
Out
of all things.
see piles of lima beans all, and that's what that is. Those are skunk ape traps. But I don't know. It's just really interesting to me, like the passion that people have for stuff like that.
Sometimes
and everybody has their own passion.
you have to watch somebody love something before you really understand it, And I think when you're around skunk ape people, it's contagious. So when we're talking to them, it's what we do. So and they're telling us, wholeheartedly we believe in this thing. I walk away going, all right, maybe. You know what I mean? Yeah. But probably not. But it's been a while since I've talked to them. So you know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
All right, second question is, and I'll tell you how I got here. One of my favorite restaurants in Lakeland is Cobb and Penn. It's this old house that they moved from down on Lake Hollingsworth, which is like one of our biggest, most famous lakes, kind of into this residential neighborhood where I live. And it's now kind of this almost like German-esque kind of pub food type place. But it was home to this guy named Gene Holloway. Right. Gene Holloway was one of the founding guys in the Red Lobster. Eventually started this chain called Seawolf out in Tampa. Just like, this is an eccentric guy who had like tigers that lived in his house and kind of like a Tiger King-esque dude. But now he's still alive. Greg Francelli gave me his cell phone number, so I have his cell phone number.
I've called him before.
You've called him.
So my office, we do like a blog that's like Florida history stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys know Trent Saunders, but he's you know Trent Saunders. Yeah. He runs this thing. And one day I was helping him when I was an intern there, and he's like, "We're gonna call it Gene Holloway." I was like, "Are you sure this is a good
And what
idea?"
was it like? Because why I'm bringing this up is what he's doing now is treasure hunting.
Yes.
Pirate,
Exactly. I was about to say that.
pirate treasure.
He answered the phone, and we were like, would you be interested in coming in and for a little interview? Like, we could blur your face, blur whatever you need to, your voice, whatever. Like, we tried to like convince him to come in. He was like, I'm just too busy treasure hunting. I don't know what you're talking about.
So he is hunting pirate treasure. So my question to you experts is there pirate buried treasure in Florida that's yet to be found?
100%.
Without a doubt,
Absolutely.
off the coast, like in reefs and stuff where there's lots of like shipwrecks down there. You can still dive. A lot of people catch lobsters off these shipwrecks during season. Like,
Where are these shipwrecks?
It's South Florida. Like, so these Spanish-American wars early on were all naval based. And so a lot of those battles are fought off the coast of Florida. And even the celebration we have in Tampa, where they were Gasparilla, one of the most famous pirates, in Florida's history, he had untold fortune. And the U.S. military sank his ship because they were tired of him harassing everybody. And all that stuff just sinks. It just goes.
Right. Well, there's also like a whole Spanish fleet that was taken out by a hurricane. And so like that was like a big one that, there's supposed to be all this gold down there from that. And so, yeah, in the Gulf especially, like there's
gold to be found.
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow. So
Wild.
nay on the skunk ape, yes on buried treasure.
Right.
Yeah, we believe in gold. Yeah.
Buried blessings.
Back to the
Buried
skunk
blessings.
ape, though. I think that people like may have seen actual apes because I've heard lots of stories of like people like you can own an ape in Florida, and I've heard lots of stories of these things breaking out and just run. And I've seen one. I was going down
Wait.
Wiki Watchie. Here we go. I was in Wiki Watchie, like in the springs there, and I was floating down the river, and there was a monkey, an actual monkey.
Oh yeah.
just-
yeah.
There's monkeys in Ocala. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe it
So
was
we
Ocala, that's
have
where it was.
monkeys and apes.
Silver
living-
Springs is known
Right.
for their monkeys.
Yeah.
Really?
But I'm just thinking, like, if some guy that's lived out in the middle of nowhere in the Everglades is just outside one night and he sees an actual ape just walking on his his back legs, like, that guy's gonna believe in the skunk ape.
Right,
But-
for sure.
Yeah.
That's
but
true.
Is it different than a normal ape? Who knows?
Yeah, that's good.
Wow. So yes and yes to those last two
We're back to yeses.
freaky things.
Oh yes.
Hey, this was a fun part of my
it was a lot
Wednesday,
of fun.
boys. Thank you guys for being here and talking to the team. Ministry in church doesn't always have to be serious, guys. It doesn't always have to be so serious.
Right.
Hey, go out, follow Grace City Music on Instagram. Check out our new TikTok ministry that Michael Delgado's. We got a TikTok going on with all kinds of goofy stuff on there. Pick up a Revival Town vinyl down at Jesse Carl downtown. And appreciate you guys listening. We'll be talking soon. Love y'all.
Thank you for listening to the Grace City Music Podcast from Grace City Church in Lakeland, Florida. To stay informed about releases and updates, follow us on Instagram at Grace City Music.